Hi, I'm going to start my explanation of a do-while loop and how it works. In this case, the player would want to escape, and they have to put in an X to be able to quit the game. And then they can hit the return button and they'll exit. But if they put in a different value, like a S or an A or a B or something, it will say that doesn't compare, or that's not equal, so it's false. So while they're entering an invalid right here, name for an invalid key, it will keep looping and asking, no, that's not right, put in the right one, and it won't let them escape until they finally get the right one, which would be X in this case. And then when they finally got the right key put in there, then they will be able to escape or break the loop. But if it's not, it's invalid, and it will keep repeating and looping until we've got the right answer. Okay, hope that worked. Thank you. Hi, I'm going to be doing my little video here of the unit test that I did for the math lock control for our assignment. This was the math problem, and in here I have different test cases to show my inputs. I have valid inputs here, which gave me a valid output on my first case. My second one had a negative number, which returned an invalid response. And then on my case 3, I had another negative number, which gave me a negative return value. On my inputs on case 4, I had 2 positive, 1 negative, which gave me again a negative output value. And on my test case 5, I had a 0, which is an invalid input, and it gave me a negative result, a negative 1.0. And on case 6, I had a number that was greater than 99, which again gave me an invalid response. And so that was my test, and that's how I did it. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and run the test file so that we can see the results of the testing. And it shows right here, open test results window. Yes, it passed. No errors. Okay, thank you.
This is our selection statement that is in our help menu view. I'm going to explain this switch statement. The reason we need a switch statement is because this particular case needs specific letter inputs. They can't just, if they put in anything besides CP or M, it'll be invalid. So what happens is if the player puts in a C, then it evaluates that input, it sees that it is valid, and then it will execute this function clues here, which is a stub function right now, and break. If they put in a P, then it will first evaluate here and see no, that it doesn't evaluate to true here, but then it'll move on to this case, which does evaluate to true, and then it will execute the how to play function and break. If it's M, it will evaluate all through these first 2 steps and then go to about movement. If they put in anything besides C, P, or M, it will go through, evaluate each of these cases, and then revert to the default and find it invalid, so that it will output this invalid selection, try again statement, and then break because it's returned false. Okay, this is my example of a unit test. I'm testing for my math tiny door control, where I have the equation for the math challenge. In the test, it's testing for these inputs here, that the player is putting the right inputs in, and then here's what the expected result. This one would be for a valid result, and then the subsequent tests 2 through 6, we're testing for invalid inputs, such as this negative number here results invalid, and then this one has another negative number, which also results in invalid. This one also negative, and then this one has a 0, which will result in invalid. This one has a greater than 99 input, so that one results in invalid. So if we run this test file, I got something that's not done yet. This one, it comes back all tests showing passed. That's it.
So for part of my individual assignment this past week, I worked on our action menu view class for our game. And so because this menu has many different options, I chose to use a switch statement. So if someone enters a correct option, so for example, like if someone entered B for go back, the code will run and it will evaluate all of the cases until it gets to the correct one that was entered, and then see how there's this line that says break. That means that the code ends and the correct output or response is displayed or is done. And so there's a default statement also that if someone enters an invalid input, it'll run through all the code, and if it doesn't find what it's looking for, it will display this default statement, which will tell them that it's an invalid selection and for them to try again. And then they can go through it again. So why I chose a switch statement instead of an if or a while statement is due to, one, readability, and second, because switch statements test examples or expressions based on a singular string object, like I have here. So it will evaluate singular string objects. So like E for move east is a singular string object. So my control test class was the MathStone test because I worked on this math problem for our game. And so in this test, it's testing the correct inputs for the surface area of a stone. And so the player is given three numbers, 7, 5, and 4. And with those numbers, they must enter the numbers in a correct order to proceed. And so since the answer is 166 no matter what way, no matter what order the numbers are in, it's making sure they identify the correct order for the equation, which is the length is 5, the width is 4, and then the height is 7. And so for all my different tests, I went through and I did all of the different variations, like the different combinations of numbers that you can have for this problem. And so, yes, all of the results are 166, but I'm still working to figure out how to make it so that when it is used and displayed, that I can show them that they have the wrong order. So I'm going to run the test. And it says it all passed 100%. So that's good.
Okay, I'm going to explain the scope of a variable. In this program for Math Tiny Door Control, this variable here, fills, is defined within the function calc fuel fills here, and it calculates this equation. Now, because it is public, it is available to other classes, but because this variable is defined within the brackets of this function, it is only available to this function. Now Heidi will explain the lifespan of this same variable.
Okay, I'm going to explain the lifespan of a variable. That's my assignment in our group project. And as we're looking at this particular class, I see that we have a public access modifier, as this is called. Public means it's able to be seen by all of the code in this particular file, and it allows it to be used because it's public or open to be shared, you might say. On this particular function, cal fuel fills, it's not called any other place, but it is public if it were to be needed, as opposed to being a private access modifier. The public keyword access modifier determines how other parts of the program can access the members of the class. And when a class member is preceded with public, then that member can be accessed by code outside the class in which it is declared. And then there'd be the opposite, which is private, which prevents a member from being used by code defined outside of its class. So in this case, this is public, and so it's being able to be used anywhere in the file that it would be needed in the class, but it's only called this one time so far, and we'll see if it's needed again in the future. But at this point in time, it is able to be used, but it is also public. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. So I'm going to try to attempt to explain this without using any code, because I think I have a pretty good understanding of pass by value versus pass by reference. So as you know, all variables in Java are passed by value and not by reference, because pass by value basically means copy the value and pass the copy. So the method will not receive the actual variable being passed, but it'll just receive a copy of the value that's being stored inside of that variable. So if I had the variable x and I gave it, and I assigned it a value of 50, and I wanted to pass that through a method, what you would get would not be just x. You would get the number 50, because that's the value that's being stored inside of the variable x. Whereas pass by reference kind of refers to objects, and object references basically means you pass a copy of the reference, or like the location of where it can be found, like its memory address, and it allows the object to be updated. So if you change something in the object, passing by reference will change that object. So basically you can change more than one variable in a function parameter using pass by reference, even though technically all variables are passed by value and not reference. I hope that is easy to understand. That's the way I understand it. Basically, passing by value is passing by copy, basically. And passing by reference is, again, passing by passing a copy, but it's a copy of the whole of the object. And that the pass by value is a copy of the value of a variable. Thanks.